Hello everyone, I'm Reza, and in this video I'm going to talk about the OpenFOAM's advantages and disadvantages compared to other commercial softwares like ANSYS. First of all, I will discuss the disadvantages of this OpenFOAM. Then after that, I will tell you what are the better points of the OpenFOAM compared to ANSYS and other commercial softwares. And at the end, I will give you some suggestions to which software to use based on your research goal and your final goal. So yes, the first disadvantage of the OpenFOAM is that it's not very user-friendly compared to ANSYS and other commercial software that I have used. So in the beginning, it might seem a bit not very user-friendly for you, and you might lose your motivation to learn OpenFOAM. But if you learn it, you will know that how to work with OpenFOAM. But of course, at the beginning, it might not seem easy to use the OpenFOAM compared to other softwares. The second one is that because it's not very, it doesn't have a very graphical interface, and it's been built on the Linux operating system. So making and creating a mesh and geometry in OpenFOAM is a bit difficult compared to ANSYS. So if you want to make more complex geometries and to try to mesh them, to create mesh for them, we will use other third CAD softwares to make the geometry and do the meshing like in the ANSYS. So then after that, you can import it to the OpenFOAM. But of course, there are some other softwares like SnappyX Mesh that we can install it by the OpenFOAM and do the meshing and make the geometry in that software. Then we can import it to the OpenFOAM. So, but if you want to do everything in the OpenFOAM, like making geometry and meshing for complex geometries, it will be a bit difficult. And the third one is operating system. OpenFOAM is mostly installed in the Linux, but like ANSYS, they are mostly installed in the Windows software, so Windows operating system. Of course, you can install also OpenFOAM in the Windows. You can find some videos on how to install OpenFOAM in the Windows, but the main most of the people install it in the Linux operating system, and if you are not very familiar with Linux, it might be even seen a bit not user-friendly. In that, one of the things that make it a bit not user-friendly is that it's been built in the Linux operating systems, and less people use Linux for their daily work. And the last disadvantage that came to my mind is that there are different distributions of OpenFOAM, which makes a bit difficult to find the better distributions. You might find some features in OpenFOAM Foundation which you cannot find it in other distributions. So it could be one of the disadvantages of OpenFOAM, but it's not very major disadvantage for the OpenFOAM. So let's go to the advantages. Which the first one is free. I mean, for all other commercial software, you have to pay. You have to pay. I mean, like I don't know the license nowadays, but it will cost you a lot if you're not a student. Your university doesn't provide the license for you. So it is. It is free to use if you want to use. And student, you have to pay like I don't know, maybe 30 or 50,000 euros per license. I'm not sure about the price, but it costs a lot. And if you want to start your own work and use ANSYS for the safety simulation, and you want to be a consultant in these safety simulations, you cannot afford that license. So the only option is using OpenFOAM, which is free to use, completely free to use. And it is open source. This is the main advantage of the OpenFOAM compared to other software, because you have access to the source of the software. You can change everything, you can see everything, and which makes the OpenFOAM a bit customizable compared to ANSYS. So we have open source software that you know everything, or you can use everything to make your own code. You can make your own library, you can make your own solvers. And nowadays with the AI, I made a video that you can see how AI can help us to use the open source feature of the OpenFOAM. So nowadays we have the AI. You can go and find the code for each library, for each feature, and give it to the AI, and AI can help you to understand that feature of the OpenFOAM. So the main reason, the main advantage of the OpenFOAM is that it's open source. And of course, for a very deep research like PhD, as PhD research, I mean, you might need to change some of the libraries, which is not possible to do it in ANSYS. You can of course have user-defined functions, UTFs in ANSYS, but it's nothing compared to open source feature of the OpenFOAM. The next one is a text file. I mean, it could be an advantage and it could be a con for the OpenFOAM, because we don't have very graphical interface in OpenFOAM, which is a disadvantage. If you are just used to use ANSYS front and Windows, here we have the text file. It could be the standard, but it could be also an advantage because we can search and find each word. That I also made a video how to use some feature of the Linux that we have to search for some specific features, and then we can find the solution. So text files are easier to handle because we can search everything in the Linux and find that exact word and exact library, solver, and everything. So text file could be pros and at the same time con, but for me, with the AI nowadays, it is also an advantage. And the last one is trend toward open source software. Nowadays, most of the software that are being created are open source, and everyone just motivates you to use open source software because it makes the science free for everyone. Everyone can do the science, and at the same time, you can share your codes with everyone. If you have some simulations, some modeling with ANSYS or other softwares, you cannot change it very easily, but with OpenFOAM you can change every code, every library, every software, every solver. So this is one of the main. Also, everyone is trying to use the OpenFOAM or other open source software. So conclusion for the OpenFOAM: if you are a PhD candidate and you want to do very deep research on your area, on your topic, I highly recommend to use OpenFOAM. If you are a startup, of course, you have to use OpenFOAM if you don't want to pay that license. And of course, I also use OpenFOAM for my bachelor simulation, which at the end, at the beginning it was very difficult, but at the end I know that after using OpenFOAM for a while, you will get used to it and you cannot use other software because of the source code, because it's open source software. So I highly recommend if you're a PhD candidate who want to do a very deep research and change some libraries is an ideal solution for you. You should go for the OpenFOAM. But for others, commercial software, if you're a master's student, bachelor student, you are interested in CFD, but you are not very interested to go deep in the science, or you're keen to do very small simulations, and this university just and gives you the license. You can go and do your simulation with the ANSYS, which is much more straightforward. It's easier to use. It's user friendly. But I personally use OpenFOAM for years, and I think OpenFOAM is the best. It's been the best solution for me in these years. So I highly recommend OpenFOAM for using, because you can do a deep research on that, but it depends on you. It depends on your aim and your goals. Every software has its own advantages and disadvantages, but it depends on you. So based on your goals and criteria, you can choose which software to use, and this was which software to use. So that was the end of the video, and I hope this video was helpful for you. Just please share your comments and your experience using OpenFOAM and other softwares, and tell me that which software you are more interested in and why. So, and see you in the next video.